Okay, we're back in the studio, and we have with us today, and I'm Mary McDonald, by the way, host. And it is, as I said, the first day of autumn, and it's April 22nd, 2015. Now we know where we are, so we'll go ahead with the program. When we'll be talking with Bill Shank and about History Forum, which is the group that you'll tell us where it came from and who started it, and give us the history of History Forum.
Correct. Everything you'd want to know about the History Forum, but we're afraid to ask.
Oh, okay.
I'm Bill Shank, as Mary said. I'm chair of the History Forum, which is a group that goes back quite a ways here at Green Spring. It was founded, I believe, and it was founded long before I came to Green Spring. I've been here 5 years, by Jasper Vink, a man whom I don't know, but many people do, passed away several years ago, was apparently really both very charismatic and a polymath, knew many things about many subjects and great interest. So for many years, it was called Jasper Vink's Conversations in History. Well, this year, the executive committee decided that we would change the name to History Forum. We haven't changed the format, same group, same topic type of thing, but unfortunately, so many of the newer residents did not know who Jasper Vink was. And so we figured that we better change the name. But we continue in his honor because he started it and did so much to get us going.
Yeah, well, it's nice to keep his name because there's still a few of us who remember him. You know, but yeah, he was a mind that boggled you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I never met him. He must have been a very interesting man.
He was. So what have you got? Oh, you said an executive committee.
Right.
Is that who runs it?
We have, correct, we have an executive committee which is made up of myself, Jane Curtis, who had been chair of the group, Joe Kyle, and Marion Burkett. And we get together once a month to plan for future meetings. And the History Forum itself usually meets the second and fourth Thursdays of every month in the Acatink room at 3 o'clock. But I said usually because every now and then something happens. For example, we would normally be meeting this Thursday, but we got bumped by the gala.
Right.
So we're not meeting this Thursday. So people should always look at the scroll and look at the bulletin boards to find out if and when we are meeting.
Especially, well, they know something's going on.
Correct.
And then,
yeah. And as you would expect, we don't meet the week of Thanksgiving nor the week of Christmas.
Right.
But we have, between now and the end of the year, 3 really good programs coming up, if I could mention them.
Sure.
On October 8th, Jenny Sparlin is going to talk about the discovery of America. That's one of the things we're trying to do this year, tie in talks with historical dates. As you would know, that's very close to the Columbus Day weekend. So discovery of America, Columbus comes together. And then on the 22nd of October, Beverly Kalkworth, one of our regular speakers, is going to talk about Pompeii and the explosion of the volcano there.
Right.
And we end the year on November 12th with a talk by Len Kalkworth. He's recently written a book about presidential libraries, and he's going to talk about the various presidential libraries that he's visited, how they were set up, what's there, etc. I think it'll be an interesting 3 programs.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's a varied, very varied, you hop from one thing to the other. You just don't, you know, history can be boring.
Well, I'm not sure I agree. I was a history major, but it can be if it's not taught correctly.
That's it.
And many people tend to think it's a history of kings and queens or presidents,
Yeah, see,
very prominent people. But to me and others, history is everything that's happened before.
Yeah.
And the History Forum tries to bring together programs that really, they're not just on the kings and queens, but on the common man.
Right.
And one of the things we are trying to do is to make our programs of interest to our many residents here who have lived through history. They've been part of history. They've been part of World War II. For example, we had a joint program with WIMS, Women in Military Service, where people who had been able to celebrate VE Day talked to us about what it was like to be there at VE Day. And we thought that went very well. So we hope to have more shared programs with some of the other many groups here at Green Spring.
Well, that's pretty neat. Yeah, but I mean, there's enough history to go around that people will be interested. You can't possibly like all history. I mean,
right.
Just, you know.
And so we don't have any problems finding topics. What we do have a problem with is finding people to talk about those topics, and not everybody is a born speaker.
Yeah.
Some people just don't like speaking in front of a group, informal as we are. So it's one thing to have a topic, but we do encourage anybody who has an idea for a program they would like to have, or somebody who might be a good speaker, because obviously I and the other members of the executive committee only know a small group of people here at Green Spring. And there are probably many people out there who, you don't have to be a historian to talk to us. You don't have to be an expert in a particular subject, although it's nice if you know something about this subject. And so we hope that anybody who would be interested, give me a call at 703-560-4367 and suggest a program, or maybe you have a program that we did several years ago and you would like to have it repeated. We can try and do that also.
Also, you have enough people who are very much a part of history that may have pictures that if you could advertise that you needed pictures of a certain subject, and you know, to help with the program.
Right. One of the programs we plan to do next year is having Carla Hibbs, a former Green Spring employee, and I think one of the first Green Spring employees to come back. She's married to Brad Hibbs of the Fitness Center, and talk about the early days of Green Spring. And we hope that she might have some photographs to share with us, because so many of the people living here now weren't here when it first opened. And we thought that Carla could give some interesting experiences.
Yeah, charter members are beginning to leave us. Yeah.
One of the things that we do hope, well, we do plan, almost always, 90%, 99% of the time, our speakers are from Green Spring. But every now and then, if there's a really interesting topic and somebody in the area knows something about it, we will try and bring that person in. Last year we had, or this year, earlier this year, we had a man from the Franconia Museum, which I'd never heard of.
I didn't know they had one.
Oh yes, and it's not very far from here. It's down at the government center off of Franconia Road. They have a museum there, and he came and talked about the history of Franconia and Springfield. It was very interesting, very informative. So almost all our talks will be by Green Spring residents, but occasionally we will have somebody from the outside.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes left, so we probably should make sure we have everything. I think we covered everything except about everyone is welcome.
Oh yes, you're not a member of this group, everybody is welcome. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention another Green Spring resident who had been very instrumental in keeping the History Forum going. And pardon the pronunciation, I may get it wrong, but that's Henri Scoville, who had both given many talks and been chair of the History Forum for many years.
Oh, well, they're pros in just about anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered everything. Have you got one more thing left on your list?
Well, since we're here on Channel 6, I did want to mention that Paulette Dam is very good about filming all of the meetings, and many of them are then shown on Channel 6. If there's no technical problems with the DVD, and it's interesting. I have to admit, sometimes, not very often, but occasionally our speakers aren't great. But most of the time, they're really good, very interesting, and if people can't get to the meeting, they can watch the program at some point on Channel 6.
Oh, that's neat. Well, I think that's about, our time is about up, but it was very interesting. I was
So we do
impressed.
encourage all residents to come to our meetings, look for us on the scroll, on the bulletin boards, and please feel free to attend.
Well, we'll try.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Bill, and thank you for coming.